Well, welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So, yeah, I wanted to do kind of a continued version of a video that we did a few months ago about CGC 9.8 comic books around $100 that were, pretty great collector items and investments. And, I had a lot of fun doing that video. Certainly, it's like a pretty popular price range. I think it's realistic out there that not everyone can afford to spend like over $100 on CGC 9.8 books. So it's just kind of a fun exercise. And I've been sort of coming up with this list in the last maybe 2 or 3 days here of 21 more CGC 9.8 comic books that I think are, good investments and just really great, cool collector items. I wouldn't maybe go so far to say that they're great investments or anything like that. Because, like I talked about it on the first CGC 9.8 video that we did around $100. Did that about a couple months ago. Yeah, definitely check that one out. Got a great list of probably books that I like even more on that list because it was like the first list we did. But still, really awesome books on this list. Do want to say though, you don't want to buy too many of these $100 books if you're really like a serious CGC 9.8 investment type collector. Like if you think of yourself in that type of vein, because you're more often better to save up a little bit more, I think, and buy, some more iconic type books that are like over $250, I would say, or about, oftentimes it's more worth it to save up a little bit more money and buy those really iconic keys that are a little more expensive, but still, again, really fun, but just wanted to say that. And another thing, too, there's 21 books we'll get through here, so I'm not going to do like census info like we would normally do. Just because they're $100, right? So there's not going to be like super rare on the census or anything. Because if they were, they would be more than $100. And that's kind of how these CGC 9.8 books work. Like really rare ones on the census in the high grade CGC 9.8 are really quite expensive usually. Okay, so let's get right into it though. Here, full list of 21 books again. Yeah, try to get through them a little bit faster. So first book. One I would completely recommend as a great book of around $100 in the CGC 9.8 to grab. Incredible Hulk 377. So this is kind of the first new Hulk, a sort of new direction for Hulk, sort of in the early 90s. And it's sort of become known as the first new Professor Hulk, or the first Professor Hulk, sorry. Obviously, kind of Professor Hulk in Avengers Endgame sort of was a hit, I think, really funny part of the movie, and people were kind of searching for when that first appearance happened. In this book, so, I was just kind of flipping through it out of curiosity before this, and the only real part where there's, a Professor Hulk is, Bruce Banner is, I don't know, I think he's dreaming or something, and he hugs Betty Banner, and he turns into the Hulk, as he's hugging her, and he has the glasses on. But that's the only part I can kind of see, a Professor Hulk. There's no real, talking Professor Hulk, in Avengers Endgame, so I wouldn't really think of it for that, to be honest, but a new direction for Hulk, a great classic 90s cover. So yeah, price for this one. If you get a really good deal, it's about $100. A lot of these sell for $125, $120, $125. Personally, if there's a really nicely centered one, just looking really good, because, such a simple cover, so you do notice the colors, change of colors, or sort of obvious off-center changes. So I would really pay up. I'd pay $125 for a perfectly centered one with great colors, to be honest, in a nice new case, CGC 9.8 white pages. So yeah, I only got a raw of this one, and I had purchased this one about a year ago now, maybe 6 months, maybe not a year ago, and it was damaged during shipping, so I had to return, and then I've never kind of picked up one since. So one I would still recommend though for around that $100 price. Such a great classic book, I think. Okay, second book here is a book I don't have either. It's Annihilation Conquest, number 6. Really kind of interesting book. This is when the new Guardians of the Galaxy team forms in this issue. So it's kind of the first appearance of the new Guardians of the Galaxy that we all sort of know from the MCU Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Kind of like Star-Lord, Gamora, Groot, Rocket Raccoon, Drax. So, really kind of great first appearance, I think. So in the CGC 9.8, it's not extremely rare on the census. I did have a look at this one, and it was 50% CGC 9.8 ratio, which it's a modern, so. But Annihilation Conquest, number 6, first new Team Guardians of the Galaxy appearance, I think is a really cool one to go after. So yeah, about 110 I think is a really good price for this one in the CGC 9.8, a little over 100. I think the cheapest one on eBay right now is like 140. And this is really a book that I really kind of want. Like, it's not extremely rare in the 9.8 or anything, so I think you could be patient on it and look to get it for about a little over 100. Yeah, I think go collect fair market value for Annihilation Conquest number 6, CGC 9.8 is $110. So, a book to consider though. If you like Guardians of the Galaxy, the whole new team in the movies, it's like one of the books to get basically. So, yeah, definitely around $100. I think it's one kind of a cool undervalued one, to be honest. Yeah. So, the next book is I got a cool story behind it. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. And I don't have a CGC 9.8 of this one. Being a big Batman Beyond fan, that kind of bugs me, to be honest. But this one, actually, I was looking at it really today, and the spine is like a 9.8 spine. Like, it is flawless. So this is a possible kind of 9.8 candidate. I didn't really take it out of the bag or anything. But Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker will always kind of stick in my mind. About 6 months ago, let's call it. I forget exactly when, but there was a really nice one online that had popped up, and it was $99.99, and kind of a very competitively priced buy it now, I would say, and kind of lasted like 3-4 days, and I was watching it, and you know, I just really should have just pulled the trigger. I didn't, and it sold. And ever since then, the only ones I see that pop up are really like people trying to get like $199 for this or something like that. So you can get this one for $100. Pretty rare. This is I would say more closer to an investment grade type CGC 9.8 that you can get around $100 because it's pretty rare. It's it wasn't very well printed, and there's not a lot of CGC 9.8s on the census. So yeah, this one could be more investment worthy, but still around. I saw one sell for $99.99, and I really should have jumped on that one. It was in a new case. Yeah, this book, CGC 9.8 white page, is looking really good. That's one that sticks in my mind as the one that got away. But Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker can be had for around $100 in the CGC 9.8, and I would recommend it. Next one, Spider-Man number 1. Like the classic top and front cover that everyone loves. So you get the second printing version of this one. This is the second print gold version, and there's the second print silver version. And there's the normal version, I guess. So the sort of second print normal versions, there's quite a lot of them, and they're, you know, still really good collectibles to have, though. And you get these for about $70, I would say, is like a really good price on them. Every now and then you see someone kind of pay up for one, and you know, maybe pay sort of getting close to $100 for one. But really, if you're kind of patient in an auction with these ones, or just patient on buy it now best offer or something, yeah, you could aim to get this about $70, I would think, $60, $70, and such a cool book, I think, to get for that price. Great cover. Yeah, there are a lot of these printed, so, you know, I don't think really in the investment-worthy category, but for nostalgia purposes, I think it's so worth it to have it. And again, yeah, be patient on that one. And obviously there's the gold and the silver and the normal version, so yeah, I really prefer Amazing Spider-Man books in the CGC 9.8. A little more expensive. You know, Spider-Man number 1, though, is like just so nostalgic, and it's worth having in a collection of CGC 9.8s, I think, especially at the decent price you can get it for. Alright, so the next book here, Uncanny XMen 248. This is the first Jim Lee X-Men art, and certainly he went on to just kill X-Men and just do them so well. And this is the first Jim Lee X-Men art. Pretty cool cover, Uncanny XMen 248. So I saw some completed listings for this one in an auction. One had went for, it was looking pretty good too, to be honest, for $87. So this one can be had for under $100. And yeah, on our last video, I think it was Uncanny XMen 256, which is the other sort of Uncanny X-Men issue that I would recommend under $100, the first new Psylocke. But apparently that's like heating up, maybe. I don't know if there's some rumors going on there, but that was on our last video. And yeah, check out that last video we did, certainly. That's sort of my sort of first picks when that came to mind, thinking about a $100 book. So, okay, so definitely Uncanny X-Men 248 if you're a big Jim Lee fan. I mean, for $87, that's one to consider. Next one, a great price one to consider too. could have pretty much put this one on a list around $50 CGC 9.8 ones. Because, yeah, I saw it was a New Mutants 100 in the first print. So I know there's like second prints of this too and things like that. But in the first print, the first appearance of X-Force, this one, and saw one in an auction. It was $59.88 it went for. And I mean, at that price, this book's looking really good. It's not really, like, I'm not too crazy about the cover or anything, but, like, just for the first appearance of X-Force, and then to get it for that price, and that might be toward the very low end of the range. I didn't look on Go Collect for this one, to be honest, actually, but not really sure what the fair market value is, but I would think that's toward the lower range, that $59.88. For first X-Force, kind of think that's really great, considering, too, like, you know, they bring back Deadpool into the MCU. Like, there could be a whole X-Force angle. I have no clue, but if they do that, I would think, you know, $60 for a New Mutants 100 and CGC 9.8 would be a good deal, certainly in that environment, a great deal. Next one here, Transformers number 5. This is like a classic Transformers book to get. That's not really like a key issue, but people just love the cover. Yeah, this is probably the most sort of wanted cover in the first like 10 issues besides the first issue, I would say. Certainly like cult followed cover. So it's the one where it's like all our Transformers, all are dead on the cover. Yeah, really cool one that kind of sticks in a lot of Transformers collectors' minds. So right around $100 for this one, I'd recommend it. And was looking, I kind of followed one on an auction, thought of actually bidding on one. I thought this would go really good with my Transformers number 1 CBCS 9.8 that I got. So I was almost bid on it, but it ended up going for $117.50. And I think that's a really good price for this book. Fair market value on Go Collect was higher, because I was really thinking of bidding on this book, and it was about a week ago that it ended. So $117.50 I think is close enough to kind of 100 to be on this list. And Transformers number 5, yeah, and the CGC 9.8 for around closer to 100 is a better deal, and one to even consider paying up closer to 150 for, you know, if it was a really nice one too, certainly. But yeah, I think a very collectible Transformers issue, and certainly Transformers number 1 is kind of out of a lot of people's price range, so one to consider. Next one is Wolverine number 10. Yeah, so on the last video, I did kind of my favorite Wolverine issues, I would say, which is Wolverine number 8, so the classic, like, Wolverine Hulk cover, and Wolverine 88, which is the first Wolverine and Deadpool fight ever. So those are kind of my favorites, to be honest, but this would kind of be my third favorite, I would think. Wolverine number 10, where it's the first Sabertooth battle with Wolverine. This is a really classic key issue, I would say. And yeah, one to consider. I think if you get lucky, maybe under $100 you get it for. And I saw these go for like $110, $120 before though, so it kind of depends on how good it looks, but right around that $100 mark. And yeah, this is more of a classic key, I would think, among the Wolverine range, whereas Wolverine 88, one of my favorite CGC 9.8s to recommend, I think, first Wolverine Deadpool battle, I think is more of like an up-and-coming type of book, whereas Wolverine 10 is more of that classic key issue that everyone's sort of known for a really long time, first kind of fight with Sabertooth. And like, he doesn't have his claws in that fight too, so it's kind of a throwback fight. So Wolverine number 10 though, right around $100, one to recommend, certainly if you're a Sabertooth fan too. Next one is, Marvel Tales, number 137. And I kind of unboxed this one not too long ago. This is a reprint of Amazing Fantasy 15. So you get the straight-up reprint of first appearance of Spider-Man. And this came out in 1982. And you get the Jack Kirby cover of, the sort of classic pose, Amazing Fantasy 15 pose. So a lot to like about this one. And in the CGC 9.8, yeah, I saw some auctions go for, one was like $122.50, and another one was like 95 something, like it was just under 100, I think. And yeah, I mentioned this one I bought from a guy in Canada, and it ended up being $140, I think, or maybe $135, I think it was. So, paid an extra $20 to kind of get it now, was my feeling. And this has got the old case too, kind of a retro old case with absolutely no sort of writing on it, whereas the new case actually says reprints Amazing Fantasy 15 is what it says kind of right here. So kind of cool to just get an old case with absolutely nothing on it. Yeah, just for around $100 you get a really early reprint of Amazing Fantasy 15 I think there's potential in this one, to be honest. Yep, potential. Yeah, in the CGC 9.8, there's not very many out there, too. So, you know, and considering I made a whole video on it where people can't really afford Amazing Fantasy 15. So, yeah, this one comes to mind as a really affordable alternative. Alright, so next book, Spawn #1. So, yeah, I did want to include Spawn #1. You know, there's so many of these printed. I think it's like 1.6 million or something. Spawn #1's printed. So, yeah, and it's like in the CGC 9.8, over 5,000 of them on the census in the CGC 9.8. So, certainly not a rare book. I wouldn't say, you know, if you're coming at it from more of an investment perspective, you want the newsstand version of Spawn #1. And I got one of those in the CGC 9.8, but it's like 3-4 times the price, to be honest. So, still though, this one for $100, even hearing people like it going over 5,000 on the census, you're hearing people even getting this under 100 now. So like people getting like $85 for Spawn #1. So I'm gonna say for this slot here, there's Spawn #1, which is so nostalgic and it's really kind of getting really cheap now. So why not? But don't really think of it as like an investment that's gonna like skyrocket in price or anything. Or I would recommend to just buy your favorite, most nostalgic like Spawn cover in the CGC 9.8. A lot of those you can get for less than $100. Yeah, a lot of them much less. Yeah, sometimes sort of in that $50 to $60 range. Even like a Spawn #50 is a Spawn #1 homage, and that's quite collectible. And there's quite a few of those on this in the CGC 9.8 on the census. And yeah, usually those go for like $60, $70 in an auction kind of thing. So Spawn #50 might be one to consider, but just a Spawn book for the number 10 slot here. So number 11 is Amazing Spider-Man 328. This is McFarlane Incredible Hulk cover. I wanted to pick kind of a McFarlane book around $100 from his range. That's sort of $298 to $329, I think it was. Or this might have been the last one. Yeah, I don't know. But a really cool classic Amazing Spider-Man 328, the McFarlane Hulk, Gray Hulk cover with Spider-Man. Is pretty cool, and you see kind of auctions of this one kind of end in that sort of 110 to 120 range. If you want it now, maybe a little bit more expensive, getting up there, maybe to 140-ish. Yeah, some people are really nostalgic for this cover, yeah, so I think right around $100, certainly if you really like Hulk and Spider-Man. It's a one to get, yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 328. Next one's Amazing Spider-Man 365. And yeah, this is kind of known now as the first appearance of Spider-Man 2099, and it's kind of in a preview during the book, and you know, kind of and in this book, I think you can expect to get it under $100, and yeah, if you're really patient, you see auctions in this one, sort of. You know, I think it tends to heat up at times. Like, there's definitely a bit of a cult following, I think, of Spider-Man 2099, but. Yeah, maybe 70 to 80 would be a good target for Amazing Spider-Man 365, which is, yeah, the first Spider-Man 2099. Another great Amazing Spider-Man book, kind of a couple Amazing Spider-Man books here to roll off. Amazing Spider-Man 410. Yeah, this is the cool Spider Carnage cover. And a good deal for this one is like 110. Every now and then I've saw people sort of pay up for it, sort of maybe getting closer to 150, but I remember there was one seller maybe 6 months ago now that had like 8 of them, and it was 110 buy it now, and that was like what a lot of completed listings had went for in auctions sort of leading up to that. So yeah, I think about $100 for this. Yeah, I think, is it first Spider Carnage? I'm not really sure. It's probably definitely the coolest Spider Carnage cover, and one that I want, to be honest. Yeah, it kind of fits right into my collection, and to be only $100, it's one I've almost pulled the trigger on. I remember that auction I had just spoken about, where there was like 6 or 7 he had. I remember in one, and it was like one auction, 6 or 7 left, and it was 110, and I almost bought one. Yeah, it was, yeah, but didn't end up pulling the trigger. But one to consider if you're a big Carnage fan, for sure. Next one here, Amazing Spider-Man number 30. This is from the version 2, so when it changed sort of in the thousands to sort of new numbering, I guess. Amazing Spider-Man 30, it's the first J. Scott Campbell Spider-Man. And this is another one you can expect to get under $100, like handily under. So yeah, maybe 60 to 70 for this one, maybe even lower if you kind of get in an auction. kind of sneak it in and get a good deal in an auction. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man number 30, first J. Scott Campbell Spider-Man, who went on to do a lot of classic Spidey covers, and a lot of people really like his Spider-Man, including me. I really do too. Yeah, so next book here, Amazing Spider-Man 529. This was a kind of a good book right now, I think, to get in there if you really like it, to buy. It's the first Iron Spider-Man suit, first new Spidey suit. Really kind of blew up this book when it first was shown on the Avengers movies. You know, the new Iron Spidey suit, when it came out, kind of caught people off guard, and people were really paying up for this comic quite a bit. But since then, really kind of cooled off, and you get good prices on it now. I think under $75 is like to aim for, and you see a lot of these, and yeah, really cooled off compared to where it was certainly when those movie that movie hype got it really heated up. So yeah, if you really do like this book, I think it's one to consider. Amazing Spider-Man 529, the first Iron Spidey suit. Okay, yeah, next one is Deadpool number 1. This one's from 1993. It's the Circle Chase is sort of the name of the little limited series that they did. But you know, a bit of an underwhelming cover, although like Deadpool kind of looks really cool on it, like his little profile. But still pretty collectible, and yeah, very affordable. Like just on eBay right now, there's a buy it now. I think it was in Canada too, and it was $88. And just a buy it now, kind of a competitively priced buy it now. So $88 in a buy it now on the internet right now. I think you could probably expect, if you be even more patient, to get it close to $75. But yeah, it's the first solo Deadpool book. Yeah, kind of predates the 1996 Deadpool, which is more popular, I think. Deadpool number 1, 1996, and that's a book that I actually have in the CGC 9.8, but it's kind of like 150 to 200-ish, I think, for that book. But yeah, Deadpool number 1, though, from 1993, first solo Deadpool book. I think, yeah, one to consider if you're a Deadpool fan. It's probably one to get for sure. So next one here is the 17th book we'll talk about here is Batman Adventures 28. So yeah, really cool Harley Quinn cover, and yeah, I think in my Overstreet guide it says it's the second appearance of Harley Quinn, but I'm pretty sure it's the third appearance. I think it's like Batman Adventures 12, and then Batman Adventures Mad Love is the second appearance, and then this book, Batman Adventures 28. So a cool Harley Quinn cover. Yeah, she's on the cover kind of twice, and yeah, this is one that I really like at this price. Yeah, I think there was a buy it now on the internet, like either now or a couple weeks ago, because sort of one I want, to be honest, this book. And it was $120, and I think the fair value is like $100 to $110. So you know, $120 pretty fair price, I think. A buy it now on eBay right now. But to get an early appearance of Harley Quinn, and you know, she's not even really on the cover of Batman Adventures 12 that much. So she's more prominently on this cover. I think around $100. This is kind of one to have. Certainly if you're a big Harley Quinn fan. Yeah, Batman Adventures 28 in the CGC 9.8. Yeah, I would say 110 might be a pretty great deal to around 100 or 110. Okay, next book here is Batman Arkham Knight, number 1. So it's the first appearance of Arkham Knight. And there's a lot of variants for this book too. But the first print is you can get it for under $100, easy. So yeah, I would think, you know, maybe let's say $65 to $80 is a sort of range to maybe look to pay. But you get the first Arkham Knight. I think there's some potential. This is one I've considered buying in the past too. Almost purchased it, to be honest. And I think it was sort of in that $80 range where I was almost close to buying it. But this is a pretty good one where there's a possibility that, you know, who knows, in the next 10 or 20 years, there could be a Batman Arkham Knight movie. And I'm sure the first appearance of Arkham Knight won't be going for like $60 to $70, so, you know, in the CGC 9.8 then. So if if you're a fan of the video game or just a big Batman fan, this is kind of one to grab, I think, for a cheap price, under $100 for sure. And then, you know, you just really like it, get some great pride of ownership out of it, and then, you know, maybe that movie comes out. Batman Arkham Knight movie would be cool. They could definitely pull that off, I think. Okay, last 3 books here. So, yeah, I got a full list of a good assortment, I think. So, we'll get into the last 3 here, which are all Star Wars books. because I really like the idea of, for some of these books are right around 100, but I think most of them maybe a little over 100, but getting some great Darth Vader covers from Star Wars in the CGC 9.8 white pages. And I've saw some of these auctions come along in the past year just because I really like Star Wars books and I kind of keep my eye on the market. So there's some really good prices for a lot of these books. So first one here, Star Wars 23. This is a couple issues after sort of the first Darth Vader solo story, which is a cool one to get. I think that's 21. But this is 23. I like this cover better. And I saw this in an auction actually go back to back with 21 and 23, and this one went for more money. And I believe it was like 130-ish for this book in an auction. I saw it go. And yeah, that other one, maybe if you want to look into that, the 21, it was like 10 or maybe $20 to $30 less than that. So closer to 100 for Star Wars 21 in an auction for a really good deal. But Star Wars 23. Really cool Darth Vader cover, kind of the Star Destroyer on the covers, kind of a space cover. One of the better ones, and when I saw that auction, I was like, damn, about 120, 130 bucks for that, I think is a really good deal. So, a price target to aim if you're a big Darth Vader fan. Next one, Star Wars 52. This is probably one of my favorite, Darth Vader covers out of the whole range. Although there's a lot of cool ones, to be honest. But sticking around $100, you can grab this one for about $100. Yeah, I've seen, auctions of this one go for right around 100. I've seen below 100 for this book as well. Yeah, really cool Darth Vader cover, Star Wars 52. Another one right around 100 that, if you're a big Darth Vader fan, a great collector item, I just think, to get for about $100, like a perfect copy in the CGC 9.8 white pages of these books. And the last book here on the list. It's a Star Wars 92, so another last really cool Darth Vader cover, I think. And this one, I saw it kicking around that $100 again. Maybe a little bit over, I think, for this one. There's a couple other Darth Vader covers that I really like too, but I saw one. There's one that's might be Star Wars number 80 something. Really cool Darth Vader cover that apparently is rare in the CGC 9.8 because I saw that go for like over $500, I believe it was, in the CGC 9.8. But Star Wars 92 is not as rare, and I've seen that sort of kick in that sort of 100 to 150 range in the CGC 9.8 white pages. Really cool Darth Vader cover with Luke on it. Okay, that is the full list of 21 CGC 9.8 comic books, around $100 that you should, I think, certainly consider. And yeah, that first list was so fun, I think. So definitely check out the first list, because I think those are more of the books that I really like and more compelled to like, and kind of my original list. But yeah, still I think 21 really cool ideas, and I do have some of these here. So yeah, just concluding up, do check, definitely check out the original video. It did pretty well too. So I thought kind of a continued video would just be kind of a natural thing to do. But I think my top picks. So we'll talk about top picks out of the whole list really quick. I really like the Annihilation Conquest, number 6, that first new Guardians of the Galaxy team. I think right now, too, you're in a lull between sort of the second and the third movie, where actually, like, if you're seeing this video now and you really like Guardians of the Galaxies, I think it's the time to buy that one, and I'm looking for this one as well. So, yeah, the CGC 9.8, I think there's one on the internet right now, it's like $140, buy it now, and that has very tempted me. Like, I could even just buy it today or tomorrow, to be honest, because, it's like $110 to $120, I think, is the fair market value. So to pay an extra $20 to get it isn't too much of the biggest deal. But so Annihilation Conquest, number 6. Incredible Hulk, $377. Yeah, I think is just such a classic Incredible Hulk book to get for around $100. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. Yeah, I've always regretted passing up that $99.99. Buy it now. Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, with really good shipping to Canada and everything too. So I think that's one to look for and hunt for around $100. Marvel Tales, I would say, is one of more of my top picks out of this list because, potential for this one to heat up actually in price. Like, I don't think for a lot of these books, I would expect them to kind of stay around the same price for a while, and you would just get a good pride of ownership from them. Like, they're not. But this one, I actually think there's a possibility that people will just really get into these reprints because Amazing Fantasy is so out of people's range. So, yeah, that, and then New Mutants 100, you know, seeing that price, which I think it's just undervalued now. Like, I'm not even the biggest, like, X-Force fan or anything, but to see that go for $59.88 in an auction, like, if you can get it for $60, the New Mutants 100 first print, first X-Force, I think is a really good deal for $60. CGC 9.8 white pages. Yeah, okay, so that'll be it for this video. If you haven't already, I invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. And yeah, when you press subscribe, the bell pops up, and you hit the bell to get all the notifications. And add me on Instagram and Twitter, too. I'll have all the links in the description below. I'll put a whole list of the issues in the description below, too. But yeah, alright, thanks so much for watching today. I hope you got some good CGC 9.8, cheap CGC 9.8 ideas. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.